Hello everybody. This video is going to teach you about solving percent problems using a proportion and the percent equation. These are problems that are typically in the is of format, what number is this percent of that kind of. So that's what you're going to be solving. I don't really like the percent equation that much, and I haven't found a student yet that liked it. So I'm going to show it to you because it's an option, definitely. But you choose whatever method that you want to use. First of all, let's start with the proportion. The problems are usually in this format. A is P% of B. Okay? When you have those, what you can do is you can write a proportion where B is the whole amount. Okay, that's your B value. It's usually given away by the word of. Notice up here where it said of B, that's usually what you'll see. In other words, of some number, and that number would be down there. A is part of the whole. So this is the part. And that's sometimes given away by this is word, but you got to be careful, not always, okay? And then P is always given away by either the word percent or by the percent sign. So this part right here is the percent written as a fraction. So we have the part over the whole is equal to the percent as a fraction. So here is an example, a sample problem. What percent of 30 is 1? All right, so for this one, we're starting out by saying what percent. So right away, we're solving for percent. And then that of 3, remember that's going to be our B. Okay, and then is 1, so there's our A. To set this one up, we would have A over B, 1 over 3, is equal to P over 100. Because we don't know what the actual percent is, so that's how we can write it as a fraction. What you would do for the proportion is you would cross multiply. Multiply the variable first, so 3 times P would be 3P. And 1 times 100 would give you 100. Then what you would do is your one-step equation to solve. You divide both sides by 3. And P is equal to 33.3 repeating percent. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to show you the percent equation. The percent equation, let's start first with the proportion. If I took this part of the proportion and I changed it to a decimal, it would become just P, okay? That would be equal to this A over B part still. It's just the only thing I changed, I took the fraction, I changed it to a decimal. Now, what you could do, I'm going to rewrite this so it looks like the other one. So I have A over B, and the difference is now I have just P. What I would do if I wanted to solve for A, if I wanted to get rid of this fraction, I would multiply both sides by B. Don't worry about this process, okay? And I would have A is equal to PB. This is the percent equation. The reason I didn't just write the percent equation because I wanted to show you that it really can come from that proportion. They're the same thing. But when you're doing solving one of the problems then, here's the exact same problem. I have what percent of 3 is B and is 1 would be our A. I would put it into a percent equation rather than a proportion. So I have A, which is 1, is equal to P, which we don't know, times 3. Now we know that we can write that as 3P, right? And then divide both sides by 3. And P is equal to 0.3 repeating. Now you're looking at it like, well, that's not the same answer. No, because in our excuse me, in our percent equation, the P was as a decimal, so we have to change it to a percent by moving the decimal over 2 places to the right, and P would be 33.3%, or multiplying by 100. So if you use the percent equation, you have to remember to multiply your answer by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the right. I think it's that extra step that students tend to shy away from, but I'm not sure. So I'm only going to use a proportion, but you use either method that makes sense to you, okay? Here, solving for P. What percent of 40 is 16? Now, I'm saying that we're solving for our percent here, but if you don't know, it starts out by saying what percent. So right there, that's saying, all right, well, there's P of 40. Of 40, so out of 40, there's our whole, the B, and is 16, there's our A. We would set this up as being P over 100 is equal to 16 over 40. Again, I'm going to multiply the variable part first. 40 times P, or P times 40, will give me 40P. And 100 times 16, again, we're multiplying diagonally here, was 1600. Then I'll divide both sides by 40. And P is equal to 40%. Cool, huh? Try the next one. Okay, for this one, what percent, so again, we're solving for P, of 400, so 400 is down here, is 34. To do this one, again, I multiply the variable first. I have 400P is equal to 3,400. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 400. And P is equal to 8.5%. Now, you could always check it, because it says what percent of 400 is 34. If you took 400 and you multiplied by 0.085, which is 0.85 as a percent, do that in your calculator. Here, I'll do it real quick. I'll have 400 times 0.085, enter, and I get 34, exactly what it should be. So we know that we're doing these correctly. All right, let's move on. Let's solve for something other than P. How about A? All right, for this one, it starts out by saying what number is 76% of 25. So when it starts out with what number, that doesn't necessarily give anything away, but this right here gives away that percent was given to you. So we have 76 over 100. Okay, there's our percent as a fraction. But here, of 25. So 25 was given to us for our B. We're solving for A. Multiply diagonally, we have 100A. 76 times 25 is 1,900. Divide both sides by 100. And A is equal to 19. Now, if you could set up the proportion, you could just do these right away in your calculator. Well, let me show you how to do that really quickly. If you multiply the two numbers that are diagonal and divide by the one that's left over, you get your answer. Because we're setting up that proportion, and then we come up with the equation to solve, but essentially what we're doing is multiplying diagonally and dividing by the number that's left over. I'll show you on the next one. So here I have 5%. I have 5 out of 100. And it says of 400. So I'm solving for A. What I said is 5 times 400 divided by 100. So let me do that real quick. I'll clear out my calculator. And I multiply the numbers that are diagonal first. 5 times 100. Enter. And then I'm going to, oh darn it, I did it wrong. 5 times 400. And then I'm going to divide by the number that's left over, 100. And you see the answer is 20, right? According to my calculator. So let's do it the regular way. I have 100A is equal to 2,000. Then I divide both sides by 100. You're doing the same thing. It's just, I'm just showing you a way to kind of do it right in your calculator. A is equal to 20. If you just set up the proportion, then you just multiply the numbers diagonally and you divide by the one that's left over. All right. Here we're solving for B. These start out with 42 is 30%, and then it's of what number? So it's of what number? We're solving for our B here. So again, this gives away that is our percent. And then 42 is our A value. That's where I said sometimes that is gives it away, but it's not always, okay? So then, of what number? We're solving for B. So our rules, again, say I can multiply the 42 and 100 and divide by 30 in my calculator, and I'll get it right away. But I'm going to show you setting up the, after you set the proportion, doing the equation. I have 30b is equal to 4,200. Divide both sides by 30, and b is equal to 140. Try the next one on your own. Okay, this one we have 25 out of 100 is equal to, and it says 60 is of what number? We're solving for b, so we have 60 up here. And I have 25b is equal to 6,000 when I multiply this diagonally. Divide both sides by 25. And b is equal to 240. Not too bad, huh? I don't think so. This method is going to be used all the way through this unit, so it's a good method to become very comfortable and familiar with. Goodbye, my friends.